This is Air 1A, so let's call it Yamnaya A, the first one. And it worked from the standpoint of Europe, it worked in the east. This is exactly what David Reich is telling about. The Yamnaya come out of the east. But they don't only come out of the east, because Air 1B comes out of the west. Like in this case of A, the first one, also not so significant part came most probably from the west. Otherwise, they prepared to come from the west. So otherwise, there's not a lot of reason they would be in Iceland, and they are in not such a high frequency. Or it could be that they were in high frequency, but that they are overtaken by B when B or 1B, the Yamnaya, the real one, arrived. Well, for me it's the real one. It's the latest mutation. Is the one that took Europe, which was supposedly taken by Yamnaya. But what took Western Europe certainly was not coming from the east. So this is A, this is the first, and you see that the first doesn't arrive in Africa. It lands more or less on the Nile Delta, Red Sea, Canaan, but it's not in high frequency and doesn't touch Africa as the B, as the following, as the last one will do. The following, or the latest, which I call Yamnaya, because I look at it from the standpoint of Western Europe. In fact, just to correct, the Yamnaya is probably more Air R1A, the older one that didn't had this mutation. Anyhow, you see that B, the later one, arrives in Africa. That is because he comes by boat much more than A did, by boat, by the gyre, and it will take on the west coast of Africa. So B, and the last wave affects Africa. Africa all the way up to, let's say, the Nile Delta. This is another mapping of the Yamnaya group, of the R, haplogroup R. This time the Americans are to the right, to the east. But it's pretty much the same. It's interesting that the haplogroup is mentioned. So this is another mutation than this one. This is comes from here, from the root. This is the root. This one comes with the gyre, arrives, and turns over Western Europe. And this one is not equal. It's not 269, it's V88. So it's probably not produced here. It's probably produced over here. Cannot guarantee, because there's other producing units, or it could be produced here and it mutated differently on the way. But I think the most probable is that it came from South America, south of Brazil, and that it with the gyre arrived in Africa, so it's another haplogroup. Here you see the concentration, because let's say other movements made them retract from the coast. Maybe that is what Africa haplogroups could accomplish. That is, maybe take back the coast after or invaded it, or avoided contact with the Africans right away, because there could be hostile, let's say. And after all, they could have had the intention to approach the Nile and the higher part of the Nile and the Nile Delta just from another side, for strategical reasons, or for just knowing it is there, or discovering. So anyhow, this was, when you see another mutation, then it could have another origin. The Western European Yamnaya come from here, took the gyre, and this one most probably come from South America, so they are different. So you will see that the one that you will find in the Ganges is still another one. I didn't research the tree, or I didn't try to find out. It's probably a mutation from I now see it's R1A, so it comes from here. This was before it was turned over by R1B, it was R1A. All this was R1A, the first. It came down and didn't even suffer a mutation, because it's M17 and it's M17. So it just came down. The situation is different than the African R1B that just came from another location. This one just came down from R1A before it was overturned by R1B.